Have you ever stopped to think about what might be hidden in one of the most inaccessible and mysterious places in the world? Among the secrets kept under lock and key in the Vatican, there is an archive so restricted that they say not even the Pope has unrestricted access to all its documents. Welcome to another night where mysteries never sleep. I am Midnight, and this is 7 Nights. Behind these locked doors, the Vatican Apostolic Archive is a treasure trove of historical records, but also a source of theories and intrigue. What is really there, hidden from public view? The Vatican Apostolic Archive, originally known as the Vatican's Secret Archive, is one of the largest repositories of historical documents in the world. Secret Archive. That's a good start, right? It even sounds like the title of a suspense series, but we know that reality sometimes surpasses fiction. Officially founded in 1612 by Pope Paul V, the place holds about 85 kilometers of shelves, with records dating back to the 8th century. What makes this archive so exclusive is the content it houses: correspondence between popes and monarchs, political treaties, and even transcripts of famous trials, such as that of Galileo Galilei. But why so many secrets? Why is access to this information so restricted? In a world where digital libraries make knowledge accessible to everyone, the Vatican Archive remains locked, available only to a few selected academics. Only those who receive strict authorization can consult the documents, and even then, only a small part of them. Is it merely a matter of historical security, or is there something more to hide? The rumors surrounding this archive are not recent. For centuries, theorists and scholars have speculated about the reasons behind such exclusivity. After all, among letters from kings and peace treaties, could there be secrets hidden that might rewrite our understanding of history? Within those walls, there are documents that not only record facts but also political decisions that shaped entire civilizations. For example, negotiations between the Vatican and controversial regimes, such as Nazi Germany, are still the subject of academic debate. To what extent could these records reveal agreements that contradict the Church's public values? In addition, there is suspicion that the archive contains information that goes beyond the political realm. Some scholars believe there are records of supernatural phenomena and miracles documented in detail. Exorcisms, visions, prophecies. Are these accounts merely a collection of curiosities or evidence of a reality that few believe exists? There is something fascinating about the idea that these corridors might guard secrets about our origin and purpose. Documents related to apocryphal texts, Gospels that were excluded from the official Bible, could be hidden there. After all, what do these texts say that was considered too dangerous to be disclosed? And then, an unsettling question arises. Why would the Pope himself, the supreme leader of the Catholic Church, not have the freedom to access all the documents? Of course, he is the highest figure of the institution, but the archive is managed by independent specialists, the so-called Vatican archivists. They say even they do not know the content of certain areas of the archive. What could be so delicate as to justify such segregation? Over the centuries, the archive has been the stage for intriguing episodes. In 1881, Pope Leo XIII decided to allow scholars to access it for the first time. Even so, barriers have never ceased to exist. Today, those who obtain permission must follow strict rules. It is not permitted to freely explore the documents, but only to consult what has been previously listed. Is this control a way of protecting humanity from information it is not ready to know? If we think about it, the Vatican Archive is not just a physical space, it is a symbol of power, knowledge, and control. It represents the idea that some information is too precious to be revealed. But for whom exactly? After all, if these secrets were made public, what would the impact be? Are we prepared to face the truths they might bring to light? Access to the Vatican Apostolic Archive is undoubtedly one of the greatest proofs of exclusivity in the modern world. The process to enter is extremely rigorous. Only renowned academics, with letters of recommendation and a detailed research proposal, can request permission. However, even with all the requirements met, access is limited to previously cataloged documents. Any request beyond what was specified is immediately denied. But why so much care with historical records? Interestingly, the Vatican argues that this protection is not to hide secrets, but to preserve the documents. Oh, sure, it's all for preservation. Can we really believe that? Or is it just an excuse to keep the door closed? After all, many are fragile manuscripts, hundreds of years old, and excessive handling could irreparably damage these treasures. But is that the only reason? Why not digitize the entire collection, as many institutions do today? It seems that digitizing the archive would be the ultimate nightmare for the Vatican's keepers. Many believe that some information is so sensitive it could not be made publicly available, even under the guise of preservation. What if these documents contain details about obscure negotiations or evidence that contradicts the Church's official narrative? Furthermore, there's the mystery of uncatalogued documents. It is said that there are records so dangerous they do not appear in any public index. Secret reports, confidential correspondence, or even descriptions of supernatural events. Could these papers be locked away in even more inaccessible rooms within the archive itself? Among the items that generate the most speculation are the apocryphal texts. The Catholic Church, during the Council of Trent in the 16th century, decided which Gospels would be part of the official Bible and which would be considered heretical. But what do these apocryphal texts really say? Why do some theologians suggest that they offer a completely different view of the life of Jesus Christ? A completely different view? That's the kind of thing that makes you question everything you learned as a child. Another point that intrigues scholars are the documents that supposedly deal with contacts between the Vatican and ancient civilizations. Some believe there are records of cultures that disappeared without a trace, as well as descriptions of advanced technologies or knowledge that might have been suppressed to maintain world order. But how true could that be? And then we come to the issue of supernatural phenomena. Reports of documented exorcisms and investigations into miracles are often attributed to the archive. Why would the Vatican need to keep these records so well hidden? Are they just matters of faith, or is there something more tangible behind these stories? Another intriguing aspect is the relationship between the archive and world politics. We know that the Catholic Church had a huge influence on geopolitical decisions throughout history. What else could be recorded in the correspondence between popes and monarchs? There are accounts that the Vatican mediated secret agreements during World War II and even took part in negotiations with authoritarian regimes. If these papers came to light, what consequences would they have for the Church's image? And why so much exclusivity for a select group of academics? Do the chosen ones have total freedom to explore what they want, or are they also subject to limitations? The truth is that even among those who enter the archive, there are invisible barriers. Certain secrets are never made available, regardless of who is looking for them. What is most intriguing is what is not clear. If not even the Pope has unrestricted freedom in the archive, then who does? Would it be a commission of cardinals, or an even more secret group within the structure of the Church? And who decides which documents can be consulted and which remain locked away forever? These questions lie at the heart of many mysteries about the archive. After all, what could humanity discover if all the doors were opened? One of the most intriguing topics associated with the Vatican Apostolic Archive is the possibility that it houses records of the so-called Apocryphal Gospels, texts considered heretical or unsuitable for the official doctrine of the Catholic Church. Often shrouded in mystery, these writings present alternative versions of Jesus Christ's life and teachings. But why were these texts excluded from the Bible? What in them could be so controversial? During the Council of Trent in the 16th century, the Church officially defined which books would make up the New Testament. This decision was not random. It was the result of centuries of debate and a careful evaluation of what should be considered doctrinally safe. However, there are rumors that some of the rejected texts contain messages that could shake the foundations of traditional Christian faith. Among the most well-known apocryphal Gospels is the Gospel of Thomas, which portrays Jesus as a teacher of esoteric wisdom, more interested in self-knowledge and spiritual enlightenment than in building an institutional church. Others, like the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, suggest that Mary had a more central role in Jesus' circle than is shown in the canonical texts. If such texts were kept in the archive, they could reveal a completely different image of Jesus Christ, perhaps more human, less divine, but just as revolutionary. Does the Church fear that publicizing these writings would weaken the authority of its interpretation of Scripture? Or is there something even deeper hidden in these texts? Another curious point is that some scholars believe the archive also contains records of older versions of biblical texts than those currently known. manuscripts that could show how the Gospels were edited or adapted over the centuries to meet the Church's needs. Imagine the impact of discovering significant changes in words attributed to Jesus himself. That's the kind of thing that could turn the world upside down. Can you imagine if the original texts say something totally different? But apocryphal Gospels are not the only texts that spark speculation. There are also rumors about documents detailing internal debates among the Church's earliest leaders. These records could reveal the theological disputes and political decisions that shaped early Christianity. What secrets are hidden about the faith's first centuries? For many, the most fascinating idea is that the archive contains texts that never reached public knowledge, entirely unknown Gospels or fragments that contradict fundamental aspects of Christian doctrine. How far could these documents go in rewriting the history we know? Another point of interest is how the Vatican uses these records. Some theorists suggest that they are not just locked away for safekeeping, but are studied by an elite group of theologians and historians within the Church. Could these documents serve as a kind of secret manual for understanding the mysteries of faith and even anticipating future challenges to the institution? There is also the question of who decides what remains hidden. If these texts were rejected centuries ago, why keep them in storage instead of destroying them? Could it be that the Vatican considers them too important to be discarded, but too dangerous to be released? And what about the psychological impact these texts could have? For many believers, the idea that the Church's official narrative may not be the whole truth would be devastating. Is the Vatican's silence on these records a way of protecting the faithful from a crisis of faith? Ultimately, the apocryphal Gospels and other controversial documents raise an inevitable question. What exactly does the Church know about its own history that we do not? And more importantly, why does it believe we are not ready to know? Over the centuries, the Vatican's relationship with secret orders has always been shrouded in mystery and controversy. Behind public accusations of heresy, corruption, and subversion, there is an intriguing backdrop: the Vatican Apostolic Archive, which many believe holds crucial documents about these societies, such as the Templars, the Jesuits, and possibly even the Illuminati. But what do these pages conceal? The Knights Templar, for instance, were one of the most powerful and controversial orders of the Middle Ages. Created in the context of the Crusades, the order amassed immense wealth, political influence, and, according to rumors, secrets that would have shaken the Church's foundations. Detailed reports from the trials held against the Templars in the 14th century, including confessions obtained under torture, are said to be kept in the archive. But were the accusations of heresy and occult practices real, or just a pretext to dismantle an order that had become too powerful? They say the Templars discovered something extraordinary during the Crusades, something that led to their sudden end. Some theorists suggest that this discovery is directly linked to sacred relics, such as the Holy Grail or the Ark of the Covenant. The archive might contain maps or descriptions explaining what the Templars found and why it posed a threat to the Church's power. This part makes me wonder, are we talking about truly sacred relics or something more earthly, like gold or lost technology? Besides the Templars, the Society of Jesus, known as the Jesuit order, also sparks speculation. Founded in the 16th century, the order was accused of operating as a secret network of espionage and political manipulation on behalf of the Vatican. Documents related to the Jesuit missions, spread across the four corners of the world, could reveal how they decisively influenced the course of history. To what extent did the Jesuits act as spiritual mediators, and in what moments did they serve as political strategists? And then there is the mystery of the Illuminati, often associated with the idea of a global elite operating in the shadows. Despite the lack of clear evidence of a direct connection between the Vatican and this society, there are rumors that the archive contains documents that refute or confirm the existence of secret alliances. Could the Vatican hold records that reveal the true origin of the Illuminati and their hidden purposes? But not all secrets lie in trials and conflicts. There are reports that at certain moments, the Vatican and certain secret orders collaborated on specific projects. The archive might contain correspondence documenting negotiations between popes and the leaders of these orders, involving exchanges of knowledge or political agreements. Why were these alliances never officially acknowledged? Moreover, there is the question of relics and objects of power. Many of these orders were accused of guarding items considered magical or sacred, which could alter the balance of power among nations or religions. What does the Vatican know about these relics? Are they real or just myths carefully cultivated? Another controversial point involves the rituals of these orders. There is speculation that certain documents in the archive describe practices and ceremonies carried out in secret by groups such as the Templars and the Jesuits. Some of these descriptions, they say, could challenge the traditional church view of what is sacred and what is profane. The question hovering over all of this is, why does the Vatican choose to keep so many secrets about these orders? Could revealing these documents expose contradictions within the Church's own history? Or is silence a way of protecting what we are still not ready to understand? Ultimately, the Vatican's relationship with secret orders is not just a matter of history, but of power, control, and mystery. These records, if they exist, could rewrite entire chapters of human history or raise new questions that may never be answered. Among the most fascinating secrets believed to be locked away in the Vatican Apostolic Archive is a supposed set of texts that describe rituals and teachings about the afterlife. Called by theorists the Vatican's Book of the Dead, these documents would be a compilation of spiritual beliefs, practices, and accounts collected by missionaries and scholars over the centuries. But what would they really contain? Some believe these texts are comparable to the famous Egyptian Book of the Dead, a collection of spells and instructions to guide the soul in the afterlife. However, the alleged Vatican book would have a Christian approach, compiling teachings on the soul, purgatory, and the paths to reaching paradise. Could these texts reveal a more detailed and complex view of the afterlife than what the Church officially teaches its followers? There are rumors that these pages include records of ancient funeral practices, adapted over time by Christianity. Texts explaining how the Vatican interpreted and sometimes reinterpreted spiritual traditions of distant cultures to align their beliefs with the Christian view. But do some of these practices contradict the Church's current teachings? Another intriguing point is that these documents allegedly detail post-death experiences reported by saints and mystics throughout history. Vivid descriptions of hell, purgatory, and heaven would be carefully preserved, serving as a basis for Christian iconography and beliefs of the Middle Ages. Were these visions merely products of the imagination, or did the Church believe they conveyed profound spiritual truths? There is speculation that the book contains accounts not only from Christianity, but also from other religions. Missionaries sent to distant territories may have documented local practices and beliefs, including rituals describing how different cultures deal with the mystery of death. These texts could reveal parallels between seemingly disconnected spiritual traditions and challenge the idea that only one religion has all the answers. A particularly controversial element would be the presence of funeral rites considered heretical. It is said that the Vatican preserved descriptions of practices such as necromancy, the attempt to communicate with the dead, not as an endorsement, but to understand and combat those beliefs. What might these texts tell us about how the Church saw the borders between the permitted and the forbidden? Another mystery lies in the supposed instructions to preserve the soul in times of great spiritual conflict. Some say the documents describe special prayers or rituals to protect the soul in scenarios of war or religious persecution. Were these texts an attempt to keep faith and spirit intact even in the face of the worst adversities? And of course, there is the possibility that the Vatican's Book of the Dead contains secrets about sacred relics related to the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Detailed accounts of the Passion, the Crucifixion, and Christ's tomb could be connected to deeper teachings about mortality and the promise of eternal life. But why would the Church keep such texts secret? Is it because they contain information that challenges the simplified view of the afterlife taught to the faithful? Or perhaps because they offer a broader, more universal perspective that could weaken the authority of exclusive Christian doctrine? Another disturbing question: what if these texts include alternative views of divine judgment? There are rumors that some documents describe death not as a final event, but as a transition to multiple spiritual paths, depending on the choices made in life. Does that align with or contradict what we know about the Christian faith? What does the Vatican hope to achieve by preserving these texts? Are they a source of spiritual learning reserved only for a religious elite, or is there something in them that the world simply isn't ready to comprehend? The Vatican's Book of the Dead, if it exists, could be one of the most fascinating pieces of humanity's spiritual and historical puzzle. Will it ever be revealed to the public, or will it remain locked away forever? Among the corridors of the Vatican Apostolic Archive, Some say there are not only historical documents and political treaties, but also records of events that defy logic and science. Supernatural phenomena, detailed exorcisms, and even reports of divine apparitions are said to be documented with frightening precision. But why would the Church keep these records secret? The Vatican is one of the few institutions in the world that has taken the supernatural seriously for centuries. From exorcisms to investigations into miracles, the Church acts as an intermediary between the inexplicable and the earthly. However, many believe that the most disturbing details about these phenomena are locked inside the archive, shielded from the public and even from many members of the Church. One of the most attention-grabbing themes is the documentation of exorcisms. Throughout history, many of these rituals have been meticulously recorded by priests, with details about the possessed individual's behavior, the methods used to expel evil spirits, and most intriguingly, the words demons are said to have spoken. Are these accounts merely a matter of faith, or is there something darker at play? Imagine documents describing voices speaking in unknown languages, objects moving without explanation, and phenomena that defy the laws of physics. Are these records evidence of a reality that goes beyond our understanding, or just extreme cases of psychological disturbance? What could these texts tell us about the true nature of evil? Another fascinating aspect is how miracles are treated. Before the Church officially recognizes a miracle, it undergoes rigorous investigation conducted by theologians, doctors, and scientists. But what about those cases that could not be explained, yet were also not approved by the Church? Are those accounts hidden in the archive, waiting to be revealed one day? There are rumors that the Vatican holds documents on apparitions of divine figures like the Virgin Mary. Detailed reports of visions, messages, and phenomena associated with these events are said to be carefully preserved. But why are not all apparitions made public? Could some of them contain messages the Church deems unsuitable for the public? Some scholars speculate that the archive also contains information on phenomena beyond the religious sphere. Reports of unidentified flying objects, UFOs, for instance, are frequently associated with theories of extraterrestrial contact. Is it possible that the Vatican is holding records of sightings and encounters that could change how we see our place in the universe? Another mystery involves holy relics. There are suspicions that the archive holds documents related to biblical artifacts such as the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, and even fragments of the cross on which Jesus was crucified. Are these records merely preserved legends, or does physical evidence lie hidden somewhere? The issue of supernatural secrets goes beyond mere curiosity. Why does the Vatican decide what can be disclosed and what must remain hidden? Are these decisions made to protect the faithful from information that could shake their beliefs, or is there something else at stake? And more importantly, if these records were revealed, how would it affect our view of faith, science, and the very nature of reality? Would we be ready to accept what these documents might show us, or would they only raise more questions than answers? The archive seems to be much more than a warehouse of historical documents. It is a window into the unknown, a place where the natural and the supernatural converge. Among the most thought-provoking theories about the Vatican Apostolic Archive is the idea that it holds a set of universally applicable ethical and spiritual guidelines. Referred to by some as the Universal Code of Conduct, these documents would be an attempt to create a sort of manual for humanity, intended for use in times of global crisis or social transformation. But what exactly might this code contain? A manual for humanity to survive? That sounds overly ambitious, but at the same time, very necessary in today's world. Some say it was compiled over the centuries, bringing together knowledge and teachings from various cultures and spiritual traditions. Missionaries and theologians who traveled to distant lands may have recorded practices and philosophies that, although different from Christian doctrine, offered complementary views on human nature and life's purpose. Could the Vatican have secretly created a synthesis of these ideas? The alleged code would be more than a moral guide for the faithful. It would be designed to function as an ethical model that transcends religious, cultural, and political barriers. Imagine a set of teachings that could unite people of different beliefs around universal values such as compassion, justice, and mutual respect. Why would something so positive be kept secret? One possible reason is that some of these guidelines might conflict with the Church's traditional view. If the code includes ideas based on Eastern philosophies, such as the concept of karma or indigenous spiritual practices, it could challenge the exclusivity of Christianity as the path to salvation. Yet at the same time, it might offer a broader ethical foundation, capable of addressing global issues in a universal way. Another intriguing aspect is the idea that the code was created not just for the present, but for the future. Some believe it contains specific instructions for extreme scenarios, such as social collapse, environmental disasters, or even contact with extraterrestrial life forms. Could the Vatican be the guardian of an ethical plan to ensure civilization's survival in moments of chaos? Additionally, there is speculation that the code includes guidelines for the responsible use of advanced technologies, such as artificial intelligence and biotechnology. With the world facing increasingly complex challenges, is it possible that the Vatican has already reflected on the moral impact of these innovations and recorded its conclusions in a reserved document? Another fascinating question is how this code would address spirituality. Would it include practices and teachings to help people find purpose and balance, regardless of their religion? Or would it be exclusively Christian, but designed to be presented in a way adaptable to different cultures? There are rumors that the code also includes a list of historical mistakes made by humanity, a sort of record of lessons learned to prevent repeating the same failures. From religious wars to environmental crises, these records could provide powerful insights into how humanity can evolve spiritually and socially. But the most controversial point is the idea that the code is not solely a human creation. Some theorists suggest it may have been inspired by divine messages or revelations received by spiritual leaders over the centuries. Could it be a celestial guide meant to prepare humanity for a future we cannot yet comprehend? Another possibility is that the code includes specific instructions about the relationship between religion and science. How can we reconcile faith with scientific advances that often challenge traditional beliefs? Could this document be an effort to reconcile these two worlds, avoiding the conflicts that have marked centuries of history? So why would the Vatican keep such a transformative document hidden? The answer may lie in control. Revealing the code could dilute the Church's central authority, allowing individuals and other institutions to adopt these guidelines independently. But by keeping it secret, the Vatican preserves its position as the guardian of spiritual knowledge. The Universal Code of Conduct would be humanity's legacy to itself, an effort to create unity in an increasingly fragmented world. Yet until it is revealed, the question remains, are we ready to live by the standards of a truly universal ethic? The Vatican Apostolic Archive remains one of humanity's greatest mysteries, a place where history, faith, and the unknown converge. From texts that could rewrite the Christian narrative, to secrets of powerful orders, and even guidelines that could shape our future, it symbolizes the power of hidden knowledge and the dilemmas of its preservation. Perhaps the most fascinating thing is to realize that for every secret revealed, even more questions arise. What exactly is stored behind those doors? Are we ready to face these truths, or should some things remain in the dark? This story is just one piece, and someday, maybe we'll see the whole puzzle. If this also made you think, subscribe and like the video. That helps the channel grow. Don't forget to share it. After all, more voices mean more discoveries.